everybody, and welcome back to Crypto Simplified. This is the first in a series of videos on Cardano, and this is for the beginners. If you know nothing about Cardano or you just want to brush up the basics, then this is the video for you. In subsequent uploads, I shall be talking about certain aspects of this project that I find interesting and that deserve their own videos. Full disclosure, I am a hodler of Cardano. I have been a hodler since it was released on exchanges because I saw the potential in it all the way back then. However, I'm not here to sell you on it. This is just the place where you can start your research and look into it yourself. I think this ties in quite nicely with the ADA giveaway that I'd like to do. I will give away 100 ADA tokens to a lucky subscriber who comments on my video. So how do you participate? Like the video, share it, tell your friends, subscribe to my channel, and leave your ADA address, your Daedalus wallet address, in the comments, as well as some feedback for my channel on how I can improve or stuff that you like. Open to suggestions, folks. Please keep this conversation going. So then, without any further ado, let's dive into this video, and we can start by looking at the problems that blockchains currently face. So most projects have the whole scalability issue. And by scalability, I don't just mean transactions per second. As networks increase and as more users join the network, there's just simply more information going through. And part of that information is actually metadata about the people on the network as well. If a network gets really massive, will it actually be possible for every node to look at every single transaction? No, there have to be ways to actually adapt to the demands of a larger network. Security on blockchains is a problem that people have talked about a lot because we do know that proof of work is pretty damn secure. It's very difficult to actually rewrite the existing blockchain or to add fake coins to a mining system because of the phenomenal amounts of hashing power it would require in order to put in a false entry. Generating that sort of hashing power requires expensive equipment, and it'll cost a ludicrous amount of money for someone to get very little gain from compromising the system. But is that the same case with proof of stake? Well, Cardano has their own answer for that. The latter 2 points are more or less common to all cryptocurrency projects: upgrade friendliness and interoperability. There are loads of hard forks of projects happening when the people within the community simply don't agree about what's happening. What Cardano is hoping for is that they can make their system highly adaptable to fit the needs of a growing network. And finally, the last one is interoperability, because it's highly unlikely that there will be one winner taking all the goodies in this cryptocurrency race. The most likely scenario is that in the future, we will have a whole bunch of coins and tokens being used for a whole variety of use cases. Cardano has a solution for that as well. So in order to see how they're going to fix these problems, we need to see firstly who is fixing these problems and how they're going to be working together in order to find these solutions. So the Cardano project actually consists of 3 entities. There are 3 fields of expertise, and each of these entities is active in one of them. So the Cardano Foundation is all about research. This is based in Switzerland, and they are here to ask these difficult questions. Are there ways to make these systems work more like the legacy systems without actually compromising the decentralization that we can get from these blockchain-based ideas? And then the next leg is the business strategy side of things, which is done by IOHK, a company called Input Output Hong Kong, based in Hong Kong as the name suggests. So this is the company behind the project, and Charles Hoskinson is the head of this company. I should get more into the team a little later in the next slide, but this is where a lot of the major work is actually happening when it comes to putting the research ideas into practice. And lastly, the venture capital leg of this, in order to make sure that ideas fostered by the Cardano team and ideas that should be implemented on the Cardano platform actually have the right connections, both financially and intellectually, in order to make their projects a reality. So having said all that, let's have a look at the core team, and the team is listed on the IOHK website. So that will suggest that they're all actually employees of IOHK, and the 2 head honchos over here are Charles Hoskinson and Jeremy Wood. I've already mentioned Charles. He is an absolute rock star in the cryptocurrency scene. Everyone already knows him, and he makes it a point to travel the world and educate people. His co-founder, Jeremy Wood, however, I haven't found too much information on him. I looked at his LinkedIn page, and before founding IOHK with Charles, he was an assistant at Ethereum. So that's a phenomenal amount of career progression in a short space of time. I should look deeper into these two for a follow-up video on the team, but it's very easy to overlook the sheer amount of research that's happening with this IOHK team. And I'd like to highlight some of the other members of the core team as well. Apologies for covering Jeff Pollock's face, but this team, these are the heads of certain research wings and the coordination wings of this team. I shall get more into them a little bit later as well, but it's very easy to gloss over the fact that there are lots of people working on this team. Even though Charles is the one in a lot of the media, there are lots of highly intelligent people working over here, and we shall get to the bottom of what they all do and how they all contribute to the way IOHK and Cardano operates. The next criticism is that they are a hoity-toity blockchain that puts their peer-reviewed status over actual finished functional product and code. Of course, this sort of leads on from the first criticism, but people don't actually like that peer review because people believe, especially in this cryptocurrency space, that this permissionless environment that we are creating doesn't really require formal validation from educational institutions. I could not disagree more with that point of view. This is simply because if I have my life's savings at a financial institution, I want to ensure that my money is safe. And that's not just from me. If any institutional partners want to get involved in something like cryptocurrency, they better know that it's safe, because you have to understand that the institutional investors are very, very risk averse. They want guaranteed returns because they are handling a lot of money for a lot of powerful people. So if we want progress in the cryptocurrency space, if we want to be connected to the legacy systems of our world, we need to make sure that we have all the maths down correctly. As these systems get huge, the room for error and the acceptance rate of error goes down significantly. Like in the early automobiles, if there are a few crashes and a few individuals were injured or killed, those are not seen as catastrophic situations. Of course, it's unfortunate that someone died, but this was a learning experience to help fine-tune security and all these other aspects of motor vehicles that weren't actually understood. As the solutions that we provide to our world get bigger, they get more critical. We do not have wiggle room for a failed financial system. And if cryptocurrency wants to challenge the legacy institutions and actually become a legitimate financial entity or a legitimate way of dealing with finances that can challenge the banks that we have right now, we have no room for error, because these people have hundreds of years of experience on us. If we are actually going to challenge them, we need to make sure everything is right straight out the box. I shall most definitely flesh this out in more detail in a follow-up video, but let's look at the privacy aspect. And in order to make things simple, I should just read out this quote taken from the Cardano website. Of course, all my links are in the description. All my research is reflected in the description over here, so you can always follow it up and look at these sources yourself. But back to this quote. The original Bitcoin blockchain was meant to be a way for individuals to transact directly and anonymously with each other outside the control of banks and governments. This guarantees privacy in financial dealings, a fundamental individual right. But full anonymity can be counterproductive, as can complete lack of regulatory oversight. Today, most blockchain projects look to further either the aims of privacy or regulation. To be effective globally, we think our blockchain must square the circle by finding the right mix of individual privacy protection and provision for regulatory control. And that, folks, is exactly the positioning of Cardano. They do not want to be a cypherpunk anarchist project like the base ideas of Bitcoin and the privacy coins. Nor do they want to benefit solely the corporations like how Dragon Chain, Nebula, and all the other enterprise blockchains are going to do. Their goal is to bring about the most benefits for the most people. This is how adoption, especially on a widespread scale, will happen. And concerning this last privacy point, it will be easier if you look at what the compliance people require in order to make a company like this legitimate. And basically, the legacy financial institution would require three aspects. They would require metadata, so that is who, to whom, when, why, and how much money was transferred. They will also require attribution, which sort of follows on from the metadata, which is where did this money come from? And that, in turn, goes to the compliance side of KYC, which is Know Your Customer, or AML, Anti-Money Laundering Initiatives. Financial institutions and governments abhor, despise the anonymity that cryptocurrency brings. So if we are going to be challenging them for financial services or even usurping them in terms of utility, we need to be several orders of magnitude better than them, while, at least initially, playing their game by their rules, which require all these compliance hoops that one needs to jump through. The cypherpunk anonymity of cryptocurrency and the complete control of existing financial institutions. The sweet spot is somewhere in the middle right there, and while everyone will never be happy, that's why we have so many cryptocurrency projects. Each project will find its own niche and user base in society. So having had a look at the compliance side of ADA, let's address one of their major criticisms. Are they really all hype and no product? Well, first product that they released was the deadless wallet. So when the mainnet was live, you could withdraw your tokens from the exchanges and deposit them in your wallets. It is a pretty wallet. My criticism is that it takes a very long time to start up, and people have noted some problems with it. But it is native to Cardano. There are stealth addresses by default, and the low fees are currently fixed. The goal is for this to be a multi-currency wallet. So Bitcoin and Ethereum Classic compatibility will come soon. You must be wondering why Ethereum Classic over the Ethereum that we use right now. Well, that's because Charles Hoskinson was involved in the Ethereum project. He was the CEO of Ethereum for a few months, but then he ended up leaving, and his loyalties lie with Ethereum Classic. Of course, there are major ideological differences in a lot of the major projects, and that's totally fine. There are thinking individuals working on addressing the problems. They all see the same problems, but we have different ways of solving them. But Ethereum Classic will be one of the earlier projects to be integrated into the deadless wallet. And lastly, the mobile wallets are coming soon, because every single cryptocurrency project needs mobile wallets, especially if they want to unbank the banked and bank the unbanked. So next up, let's have a look at one of the major focuses of their peer review, which is a provably secure proof of stake called Ouroboros. This is absolutely unique to Cardano, and like I said, it is peer reviewed and provably secured. I included to the best of our knowledge in the brackets because while a lot of research has gone into saying that this is definitely secure, it's difficult to say that right now because of cryptocurrency's state of infancy. What we do know for sure with all the testing done on the Ouroboros network is that it's highly efficient, it's modular so it can be easily updated, and they have this little thing called epochs, which will enable parallel blockchains in sync to hopefully solve the interoperability issue that we discussed right at the beginning of this video. And finally, since we are on the cusp of being able to use quantum computers, quantum resistance for this blockchain is penciled in for late 2018. Of course, we have a new roadmap update coming out in about 14 days, so we should have much better ideas on where they stand with the implementation of Ouroboros, because the peer review is done. It's in the final stages of review, and later on this year and next year they shall be implementing this onto their system in a provably secure way. I could dedicate an entire video to Ouroboros, and I'd love to do that with one of the members of the Cardano team so that you folks can have a much better understanding on how this works. But for now, let's jump on to the token. And as expected, it is native to this blockchain, and like most tokens in this space, it will be used to purchase services on the network as well as serve as settlements between parties. In the future, when staking gets live, There will be a voting system, and of course, holders of ADA will get votes proportional to their holdings of ADA. This is a utility, not a security, as suggested by its use to purchase services on this network. Currently, there isn't too much more to say about the token because the token use relies on several aspects of the roadmap that is split up into 5 sections. You've got Byron, Shelley, Gauguin, Basho, and Voltaire. All these facets can be worked on in parallel, and there are lots of updates happening currently in the Shelley and Gauguin sections. But in order to give you a better understanding, you can break it down. So first, Byron is all about the basics and the basic functionality. We are almost completely finished with Byron. Decentralization is happening right now. So when staking gets live, this system will hopefully be completely decentralized. Smart contracts are currently in the works. The final 2 aspects are about the longevity of the system. And when you look at Voltaire, it'll probably come into play when IOHK's governance period over this system ends in 2020. Because the goal is that this is a completely decentralized system. And part of being decentralized is that a company like IOHK is not really governing it. So a governance and treasury model will be formulated in the Voltaire period. And that leads us fairly nicely to their further development, because a major part of what Cardano wants to do is build a grassroots network. While this phenomenon is not unique to cryptocurrency, lots of companies want to come in and revolutionize the third world, bring them to the future, and use their lack of development to leapfrog certain aspects that are existent in the West. Cardano is coded in Haskell, but it uses another language called Plutus for smart contracts. Not too many people know either of these languages. They want to start from the ground up, and they have offered free coding courses in Barbados and in Greece. We all know that Greece is still dealing with those violent effects of the 2008 crisis. And by offering people free ways to improve their skill set and one day maybe even work for IOHK and Cardano, this is a fantastic way to encourage development in this space. Similar schools will be coming up in Ethiopia, and we do know that there is quite a strong connection between Cardano and the government of Ethiopia. They've already mulled the possibility of using land registries, especially in the cases of private property, because like in India, Ethiopia has a very paper-based economy, especially when it comes to bureaucratic processes, and land holdings is one of the most bureaucratic processes there is. In countries that are not that developed, the amount of corruption that happens just to get paperwork passed is simply ludicrous. So the potential benefits for the developing governments, especially to weed out corruption and to put more money back into the system for greater good, that potential is huge, absolutely huge. And this is just one example. Governments all over the world can be improved using trustless systems, but the governments of developing countries have the most to gain from it. Lastly, there are also initiatives in the works in Kenya and South Africa. The social impact of Cardano requires its own video as well, so I shall be following this up in the future with a video just focusing on how they are helping people all over the world. Because this is what cryptocurrency is all about. It's the redistribution of wealth. It's about giving people access to move upwards on the socioeconomic ladder. I'm very grateful that Cardano is doing this, and I do hope that a lot of other companies try a very similar thing, because this is just a healthy ecosystem that they're creating for further development. So that's all I've got to say about the social impact of Cardano in this video. I shall be making follow-ups and look at all this stuff in much more detail for those of you who are interested. Next up, let's have a look at the competitors. And there are a lot of companies that want to be the 3rd generation blockchain, but in terms of size and coin market cap rank, the 2 competitors that I found the need to include were EOS and Ethereum. I have my criticisms of EOS. I do think that they have a lot to live up to, and I think that their current valuation is possibly a little bit too high. Ethereum, on the other hand, people are criticizing them for this flood of ICOs that have happened, but I think that just shows how accessible this Ethereum platform is, and I think that's a great thing. Of course, they are still very much a second generation platform, and they hope to be a third generation platform by 2020 when Casper and sharding are implemented onto Ethereum in order to help them deal with the huge amount of load that being a leading cryptocurrency will provide. Of course, Ethereum are doing a fairly good job most of the time. There are just a few occasions when these bottlenecks of interest sort of grind the entire system to a halt. If you want to challenge the financial institutions, we've got to fix these problems. Ethereum are working on fixing them. EOS claim to already have a solution, but I'm not yet convinced. Cardano is also working on these same solutions, so let's see how this happens. Of course, as we learn more about this technology, its limitations, its strengths, people will be creating native ideas on these platforms, and that's what we want. So I do hope that these competitors create the environment for further innovation on their platforms. Let's look at the metrics. I won't read out all this information over here. You can always check up CoinMarketCap, link in the description. But as of the 18th of July 2018, these are the numbers. There is a potential bull run incoming. We have seen a lot of upward price movement. So I do hope that all these numbers will be completely obsolete even within the next few days. Because, like I said, I am a hodler of Cardano. Any upward price movement with Cardano makes me really glad because I bought in quite early, and any positive price action is a good thing. Normally, I don't invest in companies that are over 300 million US dollars because I do want that upward potential in undervalued projects. I'm finding it very hard to justify a lot of these multi-billion dollar valuations and plenty of the companies that are out here right now, but I want to be proven wrong. I really want these companies with these multi-billion dollar valuations to come in there and really change the financial landscape as we know it. So, fingers crossed, I do hope that this happens soon. So having said all that, you probably want to know where to buy Cardano, and we have 3 major exchanges for people outside Korea because one of the largest volume exchanges only deals in Korean won. So if you want to trade Cardano, you need to normally hold other cryptocurrencies. That could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, USD Tether, Neo. There are lots of trading pairs coming out right now. And Binance actually has almost 50% of the ADA trading volume. Because I bought into this early, I bought mine on Bittrex, but Huobi also has some great volume going on that platform as well. If you do want to buy yourself some Cardano, I recommend you check all 3 of these exchanges because the place with the most attractive price is always changing. And I find it very beneficial to be active on several exchanges just to make the most of this varying price. So on that note, that's all from me. This is my glance at the Cardano project. Stay tuned to this channel for more updates and more in-depth information on Cardano. So on that note, this is Mark from Crypto Simplified signing off. I do hope you folks enjoyed this video. Do leave me a like if you did. Do leave me some constructive criticism if you didn't. Remember, the ADA giveaway is still on. When I hit 1,000 subs, I shall be running the most recent video through a random comment picker. If you have kept your address in the comments, you stand a chance to win. So keep telling your friends, folks. The more subscribers we have, the quicker I can give away this ADA. So, you folks take care. We shall catch up very, very soon. Laters.